Hey Posterboy, and thanks for a great topic about major scale patterns and the CAGED method. So I'm actually going to allow myself to go a little bit off topic here. You're obviously asking about whether we know both the CAGED and the 3-note per string patterns, and well, I can answer that. I know them, but I never actively use the CAGED method, and the 3-note per string patterns sort of use that. However, my preferred way of doing it is definitely in line with Todd's answer about freeing yourself from these methods and just visualizing the whole fretboard and the whole scale boxes. And that's what I'm sort of going to dive into, because that's really the essence of what I prefer to do. And I'm not saying the CAGED method is a bad one. It's just where I'm at now, it's not really suitable for me, and I'll explain why in a minute. But if you're just starting out and you know just enough theory to make use of the CAGED method, for example, some basic chords, and maybe you've learned a few root notes, then it can be a great way to sort of start visualizing scale shapes and arpeggio shapes. However, if you're more advanced than that, I would argue there are better methods to visualize these notes so that you're not locked into a specific way of playing them, because that's what it boils down to. All of these methods that are sort of aimed to teaching you something a bit faster than if you just learned it the sort of vanilla way, just learned it note by note and understood everything. All of these methods, they're sort of pushing you into specific patterns, and you can do great things with those patterns. After all, our trusty pentatonic box here on the 5th fret, A minor, that's just 5 notes, and they are easily recognizable thanks to this shape and pattern. So in a way, just learning this pattern also is a way of locking ourselves into like a fixed template. So for example, an alternative way, which kind of sucks, but I'm still going to say it for the purpose of my argumentation here, would be to just learn them on one string, right? The pentatonic scale on one string. So that's the extreme opposite, where you just look at the actual note and don't care at all about the playability, because in all fairness, it would be very hard to play this scale going up and down like that. It's a cool trick you can do. You can get away with different sounds by working on one string, but it's definitely not the best way to visualize the pentatonic scale, and maybe not the easiest way, even though it's one of the methods, of course. So anyway, that's a parenthesis. Let's go back to the topic. What I like to do is very much in line with the reply Todd gave you, where he gave you a scale diagram covering the whole fretboard in the key of G major, and he said, well, learn those positions and learn to see where the root notes are, and then all you need to do, if you want to go from, let's say, G major to A major, is to slide that position up 2 frets. And that's valid, for any of those scalar boxes or positions. If you want to go from G major to A major, you just slide it up two steps. And if you need help understanding why that is the case, a good way of understanding that is to simply look at how the notes are disposed on the guitar fretboard, and you will see between the note G and A, there are 2 frets. So you're on G, you go up 1, 2, that'll take you to A. So the reason I prefer looking at scales this way, as opposed to strict 3-note per string or CAGED method, is because it allows me to do all of those methods and many more. In other words, it is giving me more tools for my playing and my improvisation. And I really want those pieces of theory to work for me and not against me. I want them to be like the most flexible tools you can imagine. So it doesn't really matter if I'm playing up here and I want to play something boxy. So let's say you spoke about major scale, so let's do C major. So if I want to play something bluesy and boxy, I can gravitate toward the C major pentatonic box here, and it's going to be boxy. Now, maybe I don't want to stick to one specific box there. I want to have the freedom to both play boxy and move around in a more linear way. So what I did there, I started out in a pentatonic box, C major pentatonic, and then I moved down in the major scale, C major scale, and that it sort of took me to the previous major pentatonic box, which can be found and it's the one that is adjacent to the one I started off with. It doesn't really matter. What I'm trying to explain here is that by not using any specific method, I was allowing myself to both play in a kind of bluesy pentatonic boxy way and in a linear kind of 7-note diatonic thing, and then back to a boxy way of looking at it. So basically I was using, well, in a way, 3-note per string, and I was using, in a way, the CAGED method, a bit modified, but still that kind of principle. And I was using an approach where I just didn't really care which method I used. I just know where the notes are, thanks to those types of scale diagrams that Todd showed you. This might not really be the answer you were looking for, but I still think it is relevant for this discussion. Maybe some other people are going to find this helpful. It's just a different way of looking at visualizing and learning scales. And of course, you have, if you look at my Jam School lesson series, there's a lesson just focusing on this topic. And also, of course, you have the GMC scale generator, which is really cool for getting these exact scale diagrams Todd spoke about. So those are just my 2 cents, but I hope they're worth something for you. And thanks again for a really cool topic.